This is the Kokhanok Wellness Conference episode of Heartbeat Alaska. The time is 23 minutes and 0 seconds. The date is May 2nd, 2003. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
It's Heartbeat Alaska. It's Heartbeat Alaska. You can hear it from Sitka to Barrow. Gather around for Jeannie's show. It's the Alutiiq, the Indian and the Eskimo. It's the Alutiiq, the Indian and the Eskimo.
Hello and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska, Native News and Information. I'm Jeannie Green. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we travel to a village we've never featured before in Heartbeat Alaska, Kokhanok, Alaska, a beautiful village situated on Lake Iliamna. It's a crossroads of several different cultures. Yupik, Alutiiq, and Athabascan people live together in this gorgeous community. Like many villages over the past century, Kokhanok, Alaska have seen some of their traditions fade away. They're also facing social problems that many people are facing, native and non-native, in this day and age. But Kokhanok is doing something about it. They're taking a look at who they are, facing their problems in this wellness conference. We thank you, Kokhanok, Alaska, for having this wellness conference and having the courage to share your problems with the rest of the state, thereby sharing the solutions as well. Kokhanok is one of a handful of villages around Iliamna Lake. Nestled in among a number of active volcanoes, it's the largest lake in Alaska. The 175 people that live here depend heavily on subsistence.
Now this here is going up to the dump road. We'll go up there and I'll show you the view from up there.
Daniel Roehl is one of them. He's lived in Kokhanok most of his life. He remembers how life here used to be.
You know, when we used to go beaver trapping and stuff, we never used to lock our house. The house would be wide open. There wasn't nothing locked around this lake area. Not even the store wasn't even locked. Now there was no locks or whatever. And
like Gabby said, there was not a sound, no snow machines, no Hondas in those years.
Daniel was one of several elders that attended Kokhanok's first wellness conference. Like Daniel, Shirley Nielson grew up on the shores of this beautiful lake.
Life was a lot different. Dog teams were the main transportation. And in those days, everybody, all the families looked out for each other's families. If a kid was out looking like getting into dangerous, like being on the ice when it was bad, somebody would always go out and make sure that child was safe.
one time I was in Roadhouse over there and playing around the dock, and a guy come along and he knew I was not supposed to be there. So he told me not to do it, and I didn't pay no attention because I looked up at him and I didn't know who he was. So I just kept on doing what I was doing. He finally come over and grabbed me and pulled me up and paddled my butt. I went running up to my mother, hollering and screaming. And she asked me what's the matter, and I told her, and I got another whipping. So after that, I never did run back against her and tell her that somebody paddled my butt.
By looking back at how things were, the people at this conference hope to make the future better.
And some of the elders used to play with us. Nowadays, I don't see that. I don't see none of the elders playing with the younger ones. But they always used to play ball.
And apparently they had done it in the old days, which they had I guess you could call it a qazwiq, a community house, because it was in the village, but it was a house that was set apart from everything else. And when there was a domestic quarrel, domestic violence between two people, one of the persons had to leave the home and go to the Qazviq. And while there, the person who was in the house away from the other one, the elders would go and talk to that person about domestic violence. Maybe it's time that we started bringing back some of the traditions that we had before. They seem to work best.
Putting that liquid gold in there.
This is Paul Hobson. He uses his old truck to gather firewood. It's hard work, but then again, he was raised on hard work.
I think I was sort of one of the luckier ones that my parents, taught us and made us learn how to do subsistence, lifestyle. There's my father-in-law. Nowadays, you don't see too many people, the younger generation, doing the subsistence, going out and hunting, When I was a kid, this time of the year, it was the best time of the year, the birds were coming, and you got to go out.
I guess in this day and age, people would say we were poor, but we never felt like we were. We always had a lot of love. We always had a lot of family time. Grandmother was with us a lot, uncles, extended families. And no matter where we lived, there was always, someone there to help watch out for the younger ones. I think the worst thing we could have ever done if somebody ever got caught smoking a cigarette or even have one, that was about the extent of it.
But over the years, a fog descended over the village. That strong sense of community and culture began to erode. All too often, the vacuum left behind was filled with problems.
In all areas: alcohol, drug abuse, domestic violence, child and elder abuse, child molesting.
I started out drinking maybe twice a year. When I was in my 20s is when I started drinking. And I'd drink twice a year because my kids were small and I didn't want them to see me drinking. Pretty soon it got to be every 2 months. And without realizing it, it became once a month. Pretty soon it came down to once a week. Eventually it came out to where I was drinking every day. And I didn't see it coming. And I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing.
Just like in all other villages and all other places in our state, it's alcohol. Everything that happens mostly is alcohol related.
Joseph Zackar is Kokhanok's only village police officer. His job is to assist Trefim Wassillie, the village public safety officer. They are two men who saw the problems in Kokhanok getting worse and decided to do something about it.
And it would be real nice if it can be stopped, but it's something that's far. Hopefully it'll get closer, but it's something far away.
The Alaska State Troopers estimate that only 3% of the illegal booze is ever reported. This kind of blind eye makes enforcement very tricky.
This is a dry village, supposedly, and we deal with importations, alcohol problems, sometimes domestic violence.
Both Joseph and Trefim work with the Alaska State Troopers, but it can take the troopers hours or, if the weather is bad, even days to get to Kokhanok. So usually it's just Joseph and Trefim. In such a close-knit community, sometimes it takes a lot of strength to enforce the law.
especially when it comes to talking with our own family, and it is more than 80% of the time is alcohol related. And if it's alcohol related, your own relations won't too much listen to you because you're related to them.
It's hard to go talk to your family, you know. It's not that you want to get them in trouble or anything. You just want to be there to help them out, to make them go on their right path.
This little community is doing a lot of listening this week, the kind of listening that takes courage. For the first time, they are saying things and hearing things that are not easy.
I used to always tell my kids, "Oh, you're just so stupid. Can't you do anything right?" I used to hit them, slap them on the hands. They talk back to me, I slap their mouth. This is not appropriate. This is not the way to take care of it. Because what I was doing, I was teaching my children violence.
There were some very heavy issues coming out. We didn't want to stop the ladies because stuff like this was coming out. Sexual molestation, domestic violence. But it's time to say enough. Enough is enough.
That's why the people gathered in this room for 3 days. They knew the change had to begin here in the community.
I got a question for you. Is Kokhanok a beautiful place or what? I think so too.
Around Alaska, the new buzzword is wellness. It's a term that'll probably fade away. What won't fade away, we hope and pray, is the healing and the works that are coming out of these conferences. Works that begin in the heart of the people that live in the villages.
The
people at the conference knew real healing had to begin within the community. For help, they turned to the elders.
When you hurt, when we lost our friend or son or hurt, don't keep it in your mind. You have to tell the one you like to talk better with, or cry. Don't keep the cry in there. It's hurt.
I noticed few young ones drop out of school. They're doing the same thing I did. Without no education, you will have no job like me, you'd be jobless.
When I was growing up, we didn't have school, so all we did was had to work or go out and play.
Daniel Roehl came by also.
Another thing, I don't see you kids really working or doing anything anymore. Like taking the garbage out, sweeping your floors.
Tomorrow night, I believe there's talking circles, one for the women, one for the men.
This is Lucy Weedman. She came from New Stuyahok. She's seen the difference the wellness movement has made in her village. She came here to help Kokhanok start down the same path. She knows it won't be easy.
Those talking circles are very powerful. Very, very powerful, like Dee Dee said. Our talking circle for the women in New Stuyahok, when we had one, half an hour was too short. 1 hour was too short. We started at 8 in the evening and got done at 2 in the morning. In 2 weeks, our city council and their employees will be drug tested. Those that fail will be given the choice to get into treatment or lose your job.
The idea of the talking circle and the community house are ideas whose time has come again. The foundation of the wellness movement is the return to traditional culture.
Then the women get together and we, the ones that want to maki. And then I cook dinner for them and we have dinner. And then we sit around and visit, and that's all it is. It's a visiting session. And I remember, things like that happening when I was a young girl.
For decades, the sound of traditional song and dance was never heard in Kokhanok. Today, with brave steps, Marilyn Wassillie is bringing those old songs back where they belong. These young dancers are bringing more than just old songs back to life.
I think it's very healthy to be involved with your community, especially the young kids, like preschool. That's a really good age to start dancing because it's easier for them to learn the words and the motions. It just helps them get away from material things like TV, staying inside, just doing nothing. Just gives them something to do, keeping them active in their culture.
Good morning. Please rise and recite the Lord's Prayer with us. Glory to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and praise shall be. Amen.
Trefim and Joseph were at the conference. Trefim told the story of overcoming his own fears to become a village public safety officer. In his voice, you can sense how deeply he cares about the people here.
When I landed at Sitka, there were some state troopers standing in line there waiting for us. And they told us direct, line up, like you're in the military. I was standing there, what am I doing here? I almost got turned around and went back in the airplane. That first day, we had to get up early, 5 o'clock. Had exercises in the morning. And every morning I would get up, force myself up. I was thinking to myself, why am I here? Nobody would do it, so I had to try. I worked hard. And we're all human. We're not machines. We have feelings just like you. When something goes wrong, we feel it. But we try to act professional about it.
Playtime right now.
That's why they are.
As the conference drew to a close, there was a rumbling in Kokhanok. It wasn't the rumbling of one of the volcanoes in their backyard. It was the rumbling of a new beginning. And, as with any long journey, that very first step is the hardest. Kokhanok, Alaska, is on the way.
This is Kokhanok's first annual Wellness Conference. What do you have to say? What does wellness mean to you?
Wellness to me is where the whole community comes together and keep their kids in a safe environment. And today we'd like to ask that everybody in this community help one another to make it safe for them.
It's time to start looking at our children and saying, I love you, I care for you.
God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
It is a very good thing that they do have wellness conferences, because it gets things out in the open. It's like it happened here. There's lots of things we never knew that happened, but they came out in the open. And that to me will help any village anywhere.
What wellness means to me, it means a safe and free environment for our community members and for all the old folks, even strangers that come up to talk to me about such things as what we already covered. And it's good to hear from the elders.
I was born here and raised here, and wellness means to me is respect your elders and love your children. That's all I have to say.
Before we leave, I want to say hello once again to our new viewers. In the state of Washington, we're broadcast out of KWSU TV. Hello to all the good people in Washington. So nice to have you with us, and email me, won't you? We'd love to hear from you as well. That's jeanniegreen@ak.net. And thank you, Steve Nowadik and the Kokhanok Village Council for bringing this story to our good viewers of Heartbeat Alaska. Thank you, Carol, and everyone else that were involved, and everyone that was on this program. Especially to you, our viewers, God bless you. We'll see you again next week right here on Heartbeat Alaska.
To purchase a copy of this program, ask for Heartbeat number 5203. That's Heartbeat number 5203, and send your check or money order for $20 to Jeannie Green Productions, 6216 Old Seward Highway, Anchorage, Alaska, 99518. Or give us a call, 907-563-7440.
It's the 8th annual Battle of Bands, a showcase for some of the most talented garage bands in the Army. And on stage under hot lights, the pressure's on as they compete for the overall grand prize, an $8,000 gift certificate for their installations entertainment program.
It gives the installation a chance to put $8,000 into equipment for a music center or for an entertainment center for Boss or something along that line.
And with 8 bands taking the stage, the judges had their work cut out for them.
Little salty dog bass guitar, y'all.
But great showmanship and an excellent overall performance put the bluegrass band from Camp Humphreys, Korea on top.
We were a little uptight the first night. We were a little nervous, but we just had, we got here, we didn't expect to get this far, and we were like, let's just have a good time with it, and we had fun tonight.
But the night wasn't just about bands. Army Entertainment also hosted the Stars of Tomorrow talent competition, giving individual acts a chance to shine as well.
Music is my life, my passion, my first love, and if I could serve the country and do what I love to do, that's what it is. That's what drives me to keep going on.
We have this talent out there. It's something that is a part of who we are and has been a part of who we are, and it's a part of what makes our Army so great.
And with a little help from Army Entertainment, maybe someday these soldiers will live that rock and roll fantasy. Jennifer Braden, Washington.
Lieutenant Colonel George Parton took first place in the Stars of Tomorrow competition, earning $5,000 for his installations entertainment program.
Special Shauna Mills took second and received $3,000, and Sergeant Janice Burns came in third and won $1,000 for her installation.
And that's Army News Watch. In Kannapolis, North Carolina, you can catch us on Metro Channel 11.
Royal Oak, Michigan, tune into WROK TV 55.
And at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, you can see Army News Watch on Channel 23.
To all of you, thanks so much for watching, and be sure to tune in next time for the stories that make America's Army.